Lord Addington.
Lords, I beg leave to ask the question standing in my name on the order paper and remind the House of my ongoing interest in rugby football.
My Lords, His Majesty's Government is delighted that rugby football is celebrating its bicentenary this year. Last month, the Minister for Sport was thrilled to attend some of the celebrations which took place at Rugby School. Rugby continues to be one of our most widely participated in sports, and we are committed to supporting it at all levels. We also look forward to England hosting the Women's World Cup in 2025.
Once we've got over the celebration for the Women's World Cup, which is a good thing, would the Minister not agree that grassroots sport that usually creates its own pitches and facilities without government help, it does it itself, is in real trouble thanks to the COVID cutting down the number of players, its primary income source, and the fact that energy costs and inflation is knocking on the door to a smaller base to create the finances to keep it going? Will the government give us an assurance that they will look positively at making sure this voluntary group can carry on delivering the benefits in both mental and physical health?
Well, voluntary groups do indeed do a great deal of good work to support the sport in all communities, but the Noble Lord is not right to say the government is not doing its part too. We've committed to delivering the pitches and sports facility that every community needs, and we're investing £230 million between 2021 and 25 on top of an existing £18 million annual commitment in England. So the government is supporting these groups, as we did during the pandemic, with the support that we gave to them during the years of COVID.
My Lords, noting that I'm a former rugby player that suffered my own fair share of concussions, what steps is the government taking to support the protection both of young players from life-changing injuries, but also local clubs from bankruptcy due to claims by former players?
Well, the safety, well-being and welfare of everyone taking part in sport, whatever the sport, is absolutely paramount. And the government is leading work on brain injuries across sport, specifically looking at concussion. We're working with interested parties across the sporting world to develop a single set of shared concussion guidelines, which will be published in the near future.
Since the day after tomorrow is St Patrick's Day, will the Minister join me in a fit of magnanimity and wish the Irish rugby team every success in their bid to get the Grand Slam next weekend?
The Noble Lord tempts me to send wishes against my own home nation. I send good wishes to all the teams from the British Isles and indeed the other two.
My Lords, when one thinks of Nelson Mandela wearing a Springbok shirt in the World Cup final in 1995, or the England rugby team playing in Dublin during the Troubles, one realises that rugby is a game which can inspire. When one thinks of Lord Addington playing rugby, one realises that the game can amaze. May I ask my noble friend to recognise that next month the Union Cup, which is the Europe-wide tournament for lesbian and gay teams, will be the largest sporting event in the West Midlands this year, and it has inspired and encouraged large numbers of people in diverse communities to take up the game of rugby.
I completely agree with what my noble friend says about the power of this sport to inspire people around the world, and pay tribute to his long-standing championing of it, both as a referee and as founder and vice president of the King's Cross Steelers, who I believe have been very successful in the Union Cup, which he mentions. I am indeed glad to hear that it's taking place in Birmingham later this year, and send good wishes to everyone taking part.
Does the Minister agree?
Please.
Thank you. Does the Minister agree that it is no surprise that it was at an independent school that William Webb Ellis innovated by picking up the ball and running with it? And will the government do all that it can to promote independent schools in this country, while at the same time improving the standards of education in state schools so that diversity of approach in sport and elsewhere is maintained?
Well, as a comprehensive schoolboy, I must stand up for schools of all sorts, but including in the independent sector and the private sector. Of course, there weren't as many state schools in 1823 to innovate in quite the same way, but through our support for schools opening up their sporting facilities, whatever sector they're in, we're keen to make sure that they continue to inspire people to take part in sport.
My Lords, we are entering a new era for women's rugby with many opportunities to grow the game. So how will the government use forthcoming events, including the 2025 Women's World Rugby World Cup, which the Noble Lord, the Minister, referred to earlier, to advance the participation of women and girls, not just in rugby and other sports, but in general fitness and health improvement?
Well, happily, we've seen in recent years the successes of women's professional sports teams inspiring women and girls of all ages to be more active and take up sport. We're determined to get more women and girls playing sport and want to see women in leadership positions across sport too, whether that's playing, coaching on the medical and support side or at board level.
My Lord, Clinton will make a virtual contribution.
My Lords, Lady Massam, so sorely missed, won gold in swimming and silver in wheelchair table tennis at a number of Paralympic Games, and she was passionate champion of disabled sports at all levels. Now, whilst there is a good range of grassroots sports for the disabled, including wheelchair rugby, seated tai chi, disabled angling, paradance, and also all ability sports such as sitting volleyball, the spread by locality is very patchy, meaning many disabled people have no chance to play. So what steps is the government taking to ensure that all disabled people can access grassroots supports in their area?
Well, the Noble Lady's question gives me the opportunity to add my tributes to the late Noble Baroness as well, the first Paralympian in your Lordship's house. I'm pleased to say that Sport England has provided over £800,000 of support for wheelchair rugby since 2019 to encourage people of all backgrounds and abilities to get involved, and the support that we are giving to ensure that communities have pitches and sports facilities is working to ensure that people of all backgrounds and abilities are able to take part in sports as well.
Has the Department taken any opportunity to discuss with the rugby authorities the provision of medical cover at all levels, including grassroots rugby?
Well, my right honourable friend, the Sports Minister, meets regularly with the sporting bodies and discusses these matters as well, but I shall take that point back and discuss with him.
My Lords, the Minister will be aware that in the past 9 months, 2 Premiership rugby clubs have collapsed. And he will also be aware that several Premiership clubs are under severe financial stress, as are some clubs, professional clubs in the Championship, the second division. What is the government's view of the future of rugby given these financial stresses? And should the department be undertaking a review of the organisation of the professional game to ensure its successful continuity?
Well, the government provided £600 million of support through the Sports Survival Package during the pandemic. We're in close communication with Premiership Rugby League and the Rugby Football Union on their plans to manage the issues which are still facing the sport and their longer-term sustainability as we emerge from the pandemic. My right honourable friend, the Sports Minister, regularly engages with them and continues to do so.
My Lords, isn't the ever-growing partnership between independent and state schools in sport one of the most encouraging features of education at the moment? I declare my interest as President of the Independent Schools Association. How about assembling 2 teams, both composed of the best at some of the leading lights in rugby, in both independent and state schools, 2 teams combining the best in independent and state schools, and getting the Noble Lord Panic to referee it?
It sounds a very good idea. I wonder if the Noble Lord would agree. But we certainly do want to inspire people of all backgrounds to take part in this sport.
Is my noble friend aware of the tablet on Doctor's Wall at Rugby, which reads, "This tablet commemorates the exploits of William Webb Ellis, who, with a fine disregard for the rules of football as played in his time, first picked up the ball in his arms and ran with it. thus creating the original, thus creating the present-day game.
My lords, my noble friend's question is a very good one indeed to see our 10 minutes out, and a good opportunity, a very good opportunity to be grateful for the innovation of William Webb Ellis and for the 2 centuries of enjoyment that he's given people all over the world.